Any other books or even podcasts that you want to bring up as suggestions?
Yeah. The first book that comes up to mind is Leader Shift by John Maxwell. If you are a postgraduate, and especially in a business environment, you've probably read this because it's that important. Leaders are desperately needed inside of the organization. I'm not talking positional leadership. I'm talking about people who have the ability to influence others in a positive momentum. John Maxwell just does a great job of talking about 7 shifts in your thinking that will help you become the leader that you were meant to be. So Leader Shift is a great book. Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke. For any people out there who are analytical and like data and things, this was a really interesting read for me. And it taught me how our brains are naturally wired to deal with data and decisions and perspectives. She was a world-class poker champion. So the whole book is around how world-class poker champions think about decision-making and bet-making. It's just a fascinating read. From a podcast perspective, I love the Huberman Lab podcast. Andrew Huberman is a neurobiologist. He's just got a fascinating array of topics that you could listen to, from how does caffeine affect my brain, to alcohol, to sleeping patterns, to, hey, how much sun should I get in the day? His perspective is all from a physiological perspective, and I just find that fascinating. The Biz Crossover by Jay Power, another aspiring podcast guy. He's had some really interesting guests on there, specifically if you're trying to figure out how to navigate the business world. Just for fun, 3 Questions, 3 Drinks podcast. And this is a guy out of Hudson, Ohio. The premise is basically a cocktail party, a podcast cocktail party, right? Huh. So he gets guests on, they have 3 cocktails and they ask 3 questions, and then they just talk. As the conversation goes on, it gets a little fun. But 3 Questions, 3 Drinks podcast, that's a good one. I went to Nepal to trek to Mount Everest base camp, and we did an episode where I went in and recorded about 2 days before I got on the plane to go. And then we recorded about 3 days when I got home. And then we merged those together. So you have like this before perspective and then immediate after perspective of what kind of an experience and adventure going to Nepal and doing that trek is. And I had a lot of fun with that one.